Hey everyone, welcome to The Explainer. Today we are literally setting the stage to dismantle one of the absolute biggest, most stubborn money myths in America. For decades, we've been handed this very specific script about the American dream, right? Like exactly how we are supposed to achieve financial success. But what if buying a house at the exact wrong time could actually cost you tens of thousands of dollars? Well, by the end of our time together today, you're going to know exactly when renting is the smarter move and exactly when buying makes the most financial sense. Let's get into it.
Okay, let's dive right into this, because I can almost guarantee every single one of you has heard this exact phrase before. Stop renting, you're wasting your money. Or, maybe you've heard its close cousin. Renting is just paying someone else's mortgage. It is a deeply ingrained societal belief. It's passed down from parents to kids, echoed by well-meaning friends, and shouted from the rooftops by financial gurus. And honestly, it sounds incredibly convincing. But today we're going to directly challenge that assumption and look at the actual math behind the myth. Section 1. The biggest money myth, renting versus owning. So to really understand how this myth operates, we have to kind of strip away all the emotions tied to homeownership and set up a totally level playing field. On the surface, renting and buying often look, well, completely identical financially. Take a look here. We've got John on the left paying $2,000 a month in rent for his apartment, and we've got Emily on the right who just bought a house and has a $2,000 monthly mortgage payment. Now, if you stop the analysis right here, which let's be real is what most people do, you'd probably think Emily is the clear winner, right? She's building equity while John is just handing a check over to his landlord. But as we're about to see, this 2000 to 2000 comparison is completely missing a massive piece of the puzzle. Section 2. The hidden reality, the true cost of buying. All right, it is time to pull back the curtain and talk about the totally unexpected, super unglamorous extra expenses of homeownership. These are the underlying financial obligations that renters like John just never have to worry about, but they hit buyers like Emily the literal moment they get the keys. For a lot of unprepared buyers, this feels like a financial storm, because your mortgage payment, that is just the baseline. On top of that, Emily has to pay property taxes, which can and do rise every year. She needs homeowners insurance. She is entirely on the hook for repairs and maintenance. She might have monthly HOA fees. She already paid thousands in closing costs just to get the loan in the first place. And let's not forget, the bulk of her early mortgage payments are going straight to the bank as mortgage interest, not even touching the principal. These cascading, hidden costs, they add up incredibly fast. And let's get really specific about those repairs and maintenance costs for a second, because this is where the reality check truly hits hard. Imagine Emily wakes up one morning, hears a drip, and finds out her roof is leaking. To fix or replace a broken roof, she could easily be looking at a bill of $10,000 to $20,000 out of her own pocket. There's no landlord to call. If she doesn't have that money sitting around saved up, she is going straight into debt just to keep a roof over her head. Or what if the HVAC system dies in the middle of a freezing winter or, a boiling summer? Bam, that is another $8,000 to $15,000. Meanwhile, when John's AC unit breaks in his $2,000 a month apartment, what does he do? He picks up his phone, opens an app, submits a maintenance request, maybe drops in a little freezing face emoji, and just goes about his day. The cost to him? $0, none. This is a massive hidden advantage for renters. Because of these massive surprise expenses, financial experts highly suggest following what's known as the 1% to 2% maintenance rule. Basically, this rule states that you need to budget 1% to 2% of your home's total purchase value every single year just to maintain the property. And to be clear, that's not to renovate it, it's not to upgrade the kitchen or make it nicer, that is just to keep it standing and functional. Let's look at what that rule actually looks like in practice. Say you buy a $500,000 home. According to that rule, you need to expect to spend between $5,000 and $10,000 every single year just on maintenance. Guys, that's up to $800 extra a month that you have to budget for. And this brilliantly illustrates the actual dollar amount that leaves so many first-time buyers completely blindsided and frankly house poor. Section 3. The dual realities when renting wins. Because despite what society tells you over and over, renting is not always throwing money away. In fact, under certain specific conditions, renting is mathematically, practically, and objectively the smarter financial choice. Renting is often the absolute best choice if you think you might move within the next few years. Why? Because the closing costs of buying alone will completely wipe out any short-term equity you might build. It's also the right move if you're still building your emergency fund, because as we just saw, homes demand massive cash reserves for surprise bills. And honestly, if you just prefer flexibility, renting is king. Instead of spending 10 grand a year on a new roof and property taxes, a smart renter can take that exact same money and invest it in the stock market. Renting provides incredible financial freedom and agility.
Section 4. The dual realities. When buying wins.
Now let's move over and see how this builds looking at the other side of the coin. Looking at this totally objectively, buying a house can absolutely be an incredible wealth-building tool, provided you're doing it at the right time in your life. Buying is generally a fantastic decision if you plan to stay rooted in that specific home for many, many years. Time is literally the secret ingredient to real estate. It's also the right move if you can comfortably afford all of those hidden ownership costs we just discussed. The taxes, the insurance, the maintenance, without breaking a sweat. And, crucially, you absolutely must already have a solid emergency fund in place before you sign those closing papers. If you are truly prepared, each mortgage payment slowly acts as a forced savings account, building your home equity over time.
However, we do have to impartially remind ourselves of a very simple fact of economics. Real estate markets can rise, sure, but real estate markets can also fall. Home prices do not automatically go up in a perfectly straight upward line every single year. We've seen market crashes before, and regional markets fluctuate literally all the time. That is exactly why buying must be a long-term, calculated financial decision, not a panicked, emotional one driven by some fear of missing out.
Section 5. The synthesis. The final verdict. All right, so it is time to shift our mindset entirely away from this outdated binary renting is bad, buying is good argument. The financial world is rarely that black and white. So the crucial point here is that neither option is automatically a waste of money, and neither option is automatically a guaranteed path to riches. It depends entirely on 5 highly personal factors. What's your current income? What do your cash savings actually look like? How long do you plan to stay in one place? What are your broader financial goals? Like, do you want to start a business, travel the world, or settle down? And finally, what are the realities of your specific local housing market? Once you evaluate those 5 factors, this is the only question you should really be asking yourself. Which choice puts me in a stronger financial position over the long run? It's not about what your parents did, right? And it's sure not about what your coworkers are doing. It's about looking at the total cost of renting versus the total cost of owning in your current season of life and making the choice that protects your peace of mind and builds your personal wealth. And that leaves us with one final provocative question for you to reflect on as we wrap things up today. Knowing everything you know now about the hidden costs of home ownership and the financial flexibility of renting, if you had the money today sitting in your bank account right now, would you rent or would you buy? Take a moment to really think about your own lifestyle and your own financial goals. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep asking those smart questions, and I'll catch you on the next one.